Welcome to Let's Chat with Derick, our host, Phage, and I am pleased to introduce today's guest. Her name is Lydia Di Francesco. She is a stress-reduced fat loss practitioner and wellness coach, and also the owner of Fit and Healthy Plus 365. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Derick. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's been a while since we've seen each other. This is nice to connect again.
It's so great to actually see your face and not just your little icon on Facebook.
Yeah, agreed. I know that's the way you sort of keep in touch with everybody these days. But I wanted to reach out because, I've met so many people over the years and so many interesting stories. And of course, that story changes, our journeys change, and it's changed quite dramatically, right, in the last couple of months. We've never seen anything like this before. So I wanted to start with you with that, Lydia, is just asking, how are you coping? How are you and your family coping during this pandemic?
You know what? Actually, we're doing really great. I kind of almost feel bad saying that, but because I know there's a lot of people that are struggling. But I really just honestly feel so blessed. Both my husband and I have our jobs. We have our incomes coming in. We don't have kids, so we don't have that extra pressure. So yeah, I actually get to see my husband more, which is fantastic. He was working a lot and I hardly ever saw him. So now I get to see him more than before. So I'm really enjoying that. And yeah, it's been a bit of a change for sure. Obviously, from the business side, I was seeing clients in person. So now we've switched to virtual and most of the clients have switched over, which is great. Everyone's kind of adapting. And, I think for me, the biggest thing was looking at what the opportunities were in this situation, as opposed to all the losses that there were. And
Right.
I couldn't do this, and this, but now I can do, webinars, and I can do virtual training, and I can help people in other ways through nutrition and that sort of thing. So I've been working with more businesses than ever, helping their staff by providing these webinars, which is amazing. So I've actually been able to impact hundreds more people than I was before the pandemic. So that really makes me feel good, and I'm really happy to know that I'm able to have that kind of impact on people. And I think the key really is, shifting your mindset and really looking for what are the opportunities that are out there and the positive things. At the beginning, I was very focused on all the memes that were going around, between me and my sisters and some friends, we were trading memes like, hockey cards, right? So, because laughter is great for stress reduction. And I was also looking for the helpers, right? So one of my friends loves to share the Fred Rogers quote about something about finding the help, look for the helpers. And so it's looking for the positive, I think, has really been able to keep me in good spirits. And like I said, having my husband around and my dog too, that's always a plus. So
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's great. No, I'm glad to hear that it's, and you know what, as you said, everybody has different experiences. I've heard some negative experiences and I've heard some positive ones, and yours is one of the positive ones. Right. Were you working with some of your clients virtually before anyway, so the transition was relatively easy, or was everything new to you?
So I was a little bit, yeah, I've had some experience working virtually before. I do have, before all this, I had one or two clients that I was seeing virtually. So we would go on FaceTime, they have a gym set up. And so I was able to train them. So that part was seamless in terms of transitioning. I also, right away, as soon as things started, as soon as the shutdown started, I started offering free fitness classes. So every day at lunchtime, I was offering a workout on all my social media channels. And that was really great for me, to be honest, because that was getting me working out.
Yeah.
And it was really, really helpful for other people. And so I did it for free for 7 weeks. And then I transitioned to a more private platform using Zoom. So now I can see everybody's little faces and I can give a more customized workout for everybody. So I know they keep telling me that they're so appreciative and thankful for me doing that. So that's really great. But I felt that was really important to be able to provide some help and value to people. And again, like I said, especially because this experience hasn't been overly taxing for me. I want to be able to give back in a way that I can, and health and wellness is the way that I can help people. So I was really happy to offer that to people. But yeah, the transition wasn't too bad for me. From with the workouts, there was a little bit on the tech side because I basically had my laptop and I had two phones because I have three phones. I have two older
What do
phones.
you have three phones for?
I know. I have my new phone, and then I had my old iPhone, and then I had a Google phone that I had one. And so I had two phones on tripods and my laptop, and I was streaming to YouTube and Facebook and Instagram all at the same time.
That is so cool, though. That's amazing.
It was awesome. Yeah. So from the tech side, it was a bit of figuring out, and then sometimes Facebook would kick me out because of music copyright infringement, and so there were some technical glitches, but for the most part, everything works great, and people were really loving the workouts. So, but yeah, so there was a little bit of learning curve in terms of transitioning, but for the most part, it was fine. And for my personal training clients, most of them switched over and have found it's still very helpful and very beneficial for them. It's keeping them on track, and we're just really creative, with if they don't have a ton of equipment, then I just get creative with how we do the workouts and figuring out ways to make it, still challenging for them. And it's just with a, body weight and a couple resistance bands, you can really get a good sweat on.
Yeah, because, I know from personal experience, I've been working out with a personal trainer for, it's almost 10 years now with the same guy, George. And, I'm missing him, right? And he's not set up like you. So I'm the type of person that I need motivation. Like I need that one-on-one. Or, I also have a gym membership. So if I'm not working out with George once a week, the other, 2 or 3 days a week, I could go to the gym. And now I've just I've completely let myself go, Lydia.
Oh,
it's horrible.
Well, I can
So I want to pick your brain. Exactly. So I'm going to pick your brain on behalf of my own health and the health of viewers out there. You sent along a couple of things that I wanted you to sort of, give some more details on. And one, when it comes to fitness, was exercise versus daily movement. And I think this is important because I think a lot of us think we're getting exercise because we're out there doing our dog walk, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just one movement, right? Tell me about the importance between those two differentials, exercise versus daily movement.
Right. So for me, exercise is a more intentional, focused, like you're getting your heart rate higher, generally speaking, you're probably sweating. It's for like a specific, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour amount of time where it's that intentional type of movement, but on a little bit of a higher, harder level, right? Whereas movement is literally just moving your body. And so I see them personally as two distinct things, because I think people need to realize that just doing exercise isn't necessarily enough, let's say. It's great. And sometimes movement is actually more of a priority because people are just not moving enough.
Right.
And so for people who are doing nothing and aren't used to exercising, I would actually start them with just movement. So generally that would be walking would be the easiest. Cycling, if you have a bike. I wouldn't necessarily recommend running right away for people who are totally brand new. But that running is definitely an option. Although I would consider running a bit more of exercise. But walking, even like dance parties in your living room, throw on like a YouTube mix of, or Spotify or whatever music you like to have, a fun dance mix, and just, now that it's nice, you could even do it outside, right?
Yeah.
Just moving your body more, because even though people are at home, we're still very sedentary. And in fact, people might even be more sedentary now because they're not even getting the tiny little bit of movement that they might have been getting as part of their commute.
Right. It's a great point.
Parking your car and walking to your building. And yes, you're taking the elevator, but maybe you're still walking a little bit, and then you have to walk to the washroom. And, there's little pockets of movement. People were very sedentary before all of this, but now I think even more so because people are kind of stuck in their homes, right?
Yeah.
And once you have a giant house with like 4 or 5 floors, you're not really there's not a lot of space to move. I have a tiny apartment. It's less than 1,000 square feet. I'm not going very far, right?
Right.
Like right now on my Fitbit, I have 926 steps.
It's going to remind you to take
right,
start moving
right
soon.
It's 10:30 and I've only taken 900 steps. And that's because I didn't walk my dog this morning. I didn't have time. So my husband did it. But that's not a lot of movement, right? Like even for me, I haven't moved because I've been stationary. I've been working, talking to clients. Even if I'm standing, I'm still not moving, right? So people need to move more, and it can be very easy. And you can break it up into chunks. So even if you do 3 10-minute walks a day, that's 30 minutes total. That's a good amount of time for sure. And you can definitely take 10 minutes in your day, right? And if you can't, then yikes. You know,
then reevaluate things.
Reevaluate your life decisions. But no, I mean, even for people who have kids, like my sister has children, I totally understand it. Anybody with young children, it's definitely a bit of a struggle, and I don't want to minimize that. But there are ways to get more movement. And if you do have kids, things like, you know, either going in your yard and playing outside and playing with them. We can go to parks now. So, you know, going to a park and running around is a great option. So I think people just need to focus. And what I said before, all of this still stands, is that we need to make movement intentional, because way previous to the pandemic, when we were not so stuck in our homes, our society is really based on convenience. And how we've structured our travel and how we move around in the day. It's all based on convenience and resulting in less movement, right? If you think about, most people have a car, they go from their house to their car to their work, they sit at a desk, reverse, right? Yeah. Or even a lot of neighborhoods, especially I live downtown, so we have sidewalks, but when I go to a lot of these suburban places, there's not even sidewalks.
No, I know. Listen, I lived in some of those places over the years. You know what? I mean, that's a whole different conversation on what you're allowing developers to do. I think, you know, cities across the country, I mean, not just Ottawa, we've done a very poor job of building communities, right? That encourage you to actually be active, right? Like you're absolutely right. Like zero sidewalk. Like what is that telling people? You know?
Right.
And then there's nothing nearby. We're building them out in the middle of nowhere. So we build these small big box cities, right? So that you're pretty much forced to drive there. You can't walk to your local grocery store. I mean, I'm fortunate like you. We live down in the Linden Lee sort of Vanier area. And so we can walk to so many places, right? Not just, you know, to get groceries, but just, you know, walk along the river and that kind of thing. Sidewalks, right?
Yeah. But good point. That's my point, right? A lot of people are living in these areas where, as a society, we have decided that we don't even want to have sidewalks, which encourage people to get out, right? And I mean, yes, you could walk on the road. It just probably doesn't feel as safe, and there might not be as wide of a street. And anyway. But that's my point, is you have to make it intentional. You have to decide that you want to actually move more and then purposely do it, because of how we've structured our society, in that most people don't live in a community, in a neighborhood, where they can just go out for a walk and pick up a few things. You have to drive to a place, right? Which means you have to make the choice to go on a walk as a purposeful activity, not just as something that you can do very easily, right? Like, again, I live downtown. I love that I can just, if I need, you know, I go to my nut store, my guy just down the street here, where I can buy my almonds and cashews and right, you know, it's a quick little walk, but at least I'm walking, right? When you don't have that opportunity, you have to just go on a walk for a walk's sake. You can't bundle it with another thing, right? So I just think that's really important for people to understand, is that it's not just, these things aren't just going to happen naturally for most people. You have to purposely decide, I want to get more movement in my day, and this is how I'm going to do it. Is it going to be a walk? Is it going to be a bike ride? Is it going to be playing with your kids? Is it going to be the dance party or some other kind of activity? I mean, right now we're a little limited, but as things free up, you know, maybe it's a sport that you like to do. So maybe it's playing tennis or soccer or baseball or whatever other, now those are summer sports, but in the winter you can do winter sports. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah, you know, it's finding things that you like to do. And again, just being intentional about it. And then I think from the exercise standpoint, to me, that comes after. Like if you
Okay.
can start moving your body more, that's actually more important than, you know, a 3 times a week 1 hour workout, right?
Right.
I would rather somebody move their body every single day for 30 minutes than just a smaller time period of an exercise. But however, exercise is obviously very important. Strength training is important. Getting some cardio as well. Stretching, obviously, as another thing too. So, not to minimize exercise, but I think for most people, they need to start with movement.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree with you
and
100%. I think it's great
yeah,
advice, right? And making it intentional is so important because you're right, because we have a very difficult time motivating ourselves to do things sometimes. And so making it intentional is important. I want to
yeah,
switch gears a little bit and talk a
sure.
little bit about stress management with you because I know that's something else that's very important. And I'm sure people's stress levels have gone up considerably over the
Yeah.
last couple of months. So, you know, knowing yourself and how your body reacts to stress, I know is something that's very important to you. Why
Mm.
is recognizing that so important for us?
So I think what happens is sometimes we don't even realize we're stressed, but our body talks to us all the time, and unfortunately, we've just learned how to tune it out, and we don't pay attention to the signs and the symptoms that our bodies are telling us. So I know I give this example for myself. So for me, I'm the kind of person that when I'm stressed or anxious, I'm not hungry. So there are people
Hmm.
who get more hungry and they just like stuff their face and they can't help
Yeah.
themselves that way. I'm the opposite. So there's usually you're one or the other. So I'm the type of person that doesn't eat. I don't like, I'm kind of nauseous-ish or I'm just not hungry. So for me, that's often I'll notice before actually feeling stressed, like that I notice it in my with my mind, I notice that I'm not hungry. And
Right.
so then that's that cue for me to go, oh, I'm not hungry. That's weird. So what's going on? What am I upset about, or what am I stressed about, or what am I anxious about? Right? Sometimes people get headaches, or they start, you know, their heart's pumping really fast. There's some physical things. There's the cognitive stuff where you might be more forgetful. You might be, it might be harder to make a decision.
Yeah.
That's a really good clue actually for a lot of people, that if you're finding it hard to make a decision, or if you get irritated when someone's asking you to make a decision, that could be a really good sign that you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. From the behavioral side, things like hiding, so kind of reclusing yourself from people, and not just now because we're stuck at home, but you know,
Well,
not
you can do
wanting to.
that. You could do that within your own household, right? I mean, it
Oh,
doesn't matter
for
whether,
sure. Yeah.
you're out and about sort of thing, and now you're not, but you might have, start distancing yourself from your
Yeah.
from your spouse, from your
Yeah.
partner, from your kids. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So that one's a big sign too. Yeah, getting more angry or irritated or frustrated. Those are some behavioral signs as well. So again, we often sometimes can see the signs before and then that's the cue that like, oh, I'm stressed,
Right.
right?
So
Before we
then
actually
what do
see
we
that.
do, Lydia? Right?
What, sorry?
Now we've
Yeah.
recognized it. So what tools are available to us, to reduce that stress?
There's so many. The first one, it sounds so simple and easy, but it's breathing, deep, slow breathing. So we want to breathe in through the nose, belly expands, and then out through the mouth. So, real quick, what happens when we're in a situation where we get stressed? Like, not there's kind of I feel like two different sorts of stresses. There's like a chronic stress where you basically have never relaxed your body and you're just in a state of stress. And then there's like an acute stressful moment, right? So when we're in those stressful moments, the amygdala in our brain fires up. It tells us, oh my gosh, danger. And then bunch of body things happen. So we release cortisol and adrenaline. Our blood flows to our muscles basically to get us ready to like fight the bear, literally.
Right.
And then we start breathing, like chest breathing, quickly. And so out of all of the body functions that happen as a result of the amygdala triggering, breath is the only one we can control, which is very cool.
Yeah.
We can't control the hormone release. We can't control where our blood's flowing, but we can control our breath. And so when we do that, we start to calm the body down, and we start to basically tell our body that it's okay. There's no danger. And it'll start on its own then to stop the release of cortisol and adrenaline, to remove the blood, like get the blood flowing back to all the other parts of the body. So breath for sure, number one.
Okay.
For two, especially if you're in like the acute stress moment, 2 minutes, deep breathing, nice and slow, in for 4, hold for 7, out for 5 is a good sort of range. Longer out breath than in breath. And then meditation is always a great tool as well. And there's such amazing apps right now, free ones. My favorite is Insight Timer. And it has like over 30,000 free meditations. It's great. The filter function is awesome. You can search for like
I'm going to write that down, actually.
Yeah. Insight Timer.
Insight Timer. Okay.
Yeah. And totally, it's free. I think there's probably a paid version for like some of the extra stuff, but the free version is totally sufficient. I like it because you can easily search by time. You can even search by like male or female voice, and if you want music or no music, and there's so many different features.
Nice.
Not sponsored. I just really like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so meditation is always good. And I always tell people for meditation, for me, I don't believe that there's rules. Like, it doesn't have to be X amount of time or a certain type, or it's just whatever works for you. Try different things. The key thing is that you're calming your body. We're trying to get our body back into our parasympathetic nervous system so that everything can just work as it should. Because in fact, little side note, when you're in a stressed position or feeling, your digestion doesn't work as well. So that's
I've recognized that. I'm like you. I recognize it because I'm not hungry. And as you said, there's a reason why you're not hungry, right? Yeah,
absolutely. So meditation's another great one. Gratitude and writing affirmations, huge. To be honest, Derick, I really feel like because over the past year, I've been pretty much daily practicing writing gratitude and affirmations. It has changed my brain, changed my mindset. I don't think I would have been as in a good place as I am now with this pandemic had I not had that whole year's worth of essentially working on my mind.
So what prompted you? What prompted you to start doing that on a daily basis?
People, friends, my business coaches. I have a mindset coach that I was working with, and I just saw the amount of help that it was to these mentors and people in my circle. And I just, I wanted to create new habits, and I'm always looking to improve myself. And honestly, I'm literally not exaggerating. I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but it's changed my life.
That's amazing. I'm happy for you. That's great.
Change other people's lives. And it's so simple. Like, I literally take 5 minutes in the morning. I write down just a list of things that I'm grateful for. I don't limit myself to like X amount because I don't want to pressure. I write however many I want to write that day, and then that's it. And then I write affirmations, which has been really helpful. And there really is scientific evidence that shows that these two things literally change your brain. It can change the neural pathways. It can change the neurotransmitters and your synapses and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you've ever talked to anybody who does works with neuroplasticity. It's so cool.
It is. It's fascinating.
So yeah, these types of things, they really work, and it's a practice, right? So you don't have, you just do it all the time, right? It's not that you you get better at it, but there's not really a getting better. Like you just do it all the time.
Well, I'm glad, I like the idea that you don't put pressure on yourself either. I have to do 3 a day. And I think, just to encourage people out there, you know what, if it's only one, it's fine. And if you repeat one from, last week, that's okay too. Because I think we're always trying to, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to come up with new ones every day. This is crazy. Well, that's fine. It might be the same thing you're grateful for that you were grateful for the day before. Just, write it down again. It's okay.
Thank you for saying that, because I do have people commenting on like, they, for some reason, just like, I don't know why there's this pressure to like create new stuff all the time. Like mostly the things that I write are the same. Sometimes it's different or different items, or depending on what's happened. Like a few weeks ago, I don't know why, but I was really thankful for like electricity and having lots of food in my fridge. And I think, one of my friends had commented, she lives in Morocco and they can't even get takeout. And so, it was because of that conversation the day before that the next morning I was like, I'm really thankful that I can access takeout.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes it's different. I'm always thankful for my husband and my dog and my clients and usually my plants, because I love them.
You got a lot of nice, beautiful plants. I love the background.
Yeah. So just again, a message to the viewers is like, don't put pressure on yourself. You don't have to come up with new things all the time, and nothing is too cliche. And so even if it seems like it's cliche, like technology or electricity or, my bed, like if you're thankful for it, you're thankful for it. And nobody's reading your journal anyway. So just write whatever you want. And then a few other strategies, laughter. Like I said, I was really into all the memes. So helpful. And boundaries is a really, really important one, especially in this pandemic time. For some people, the news and even being on social media for too long, it's too much, and it causes too much stress and anxiety. And so I know you took a break last week.
I'm pointing at myself, because I do need to take a break from it every now and then. If you're constantly looking at that spinning wheel, and I was a part of it, for 4 years in Montreal, doing a live show that concentrated on news, weather, traffic, sports, and it's just constant for you, right? And that's probably one thing I could say that was almost a relief when the show got canceled, is I didn't have to be in that wheel all the time, every day, because it doesn't end if you're in that field, right? Where now I feel, I still want to stay in touch. I do Mark Sutcliffe's show every Friday at noon, and, we talk about current events and what's happening in the city and around the world. So I still stay in tune, but I don't want to be consumed by it at all times. So I couldn't agree with you more. You got to set boundaries, step back, don't look at the numbers every day, sort of thing.
So important. And I think even in terms of social media, so we have this amazing opportunity called the unfollow button, or like drop down menu. Like never before in life have we had such control over what we consume, right? If you think about in the olden times, there was radio and then traditional television, and that was all like output to you, right? Now we get to decide what we are inputting to ourselves. And so if you're following somebody who you just, for whatever reason, triggers stress or anxiousness, or they're just too negative all the time and nothing is ever positive, and you don't want to be following them anymore, unfollow. I have unfollowed more people in the last 2 months than ever.
I've done the same thing.
Because I don't need that in my life. And it's not that I only want the positive, because it's not about that. But if it's too much all the time, negative, everything is bad, I don't want to see it. And that's my choice.
There's two things for me. It's the negative, constant negativity, and it's the conspiracy theories. Those two things, I can't handle it. Why are you arguing science? Anyway, that's a whole different story. I agree with you.
But I think, again, what's cool is that we get this control. We get to decide, who do I want to see on my feed? And it's so, I'm sure if you've done it too, you feel so much better, and you don't miss those people on your feed at all. I don't miss seeing any of that stuff. And so I think sometimes like if anybody needs permission, which you don't need my permission, but I am giving you permission to unfollow people. Okay?
No,
Not
sometimes you need to hear it, right? Because there's
right?
this sense of guilt. What if they see that I've unfollowed them? Who cares?
Right. They
I
won't.
mean,
In terms of family members, it can be a little more tricky, but I'll give an example of how you can set some boundaries sometimes with family members. So I had a time in my life when my mom was going through a really difficult experience, and she kept calling me to talk to me. And she was calling me during the day, and it was very disruptive. And the nature of the conversations was such that like I couldn't get back to work right away. And so I wasn't getting a lot of work done in my day. And eventually I had to say, like, Mom, I can talk to you, but it has to be after 5 or 6 p.m. or whatever. It has to be in the evening. I can't talk to you during the day because it's disruptive to my day and I can't get any work done. And so that's an example where I'm not saying, Mom, I'm never talking to you again. Don't call me.
right.
I'm saying I can talk to you, but be within these parameters. And so I think sometimes it's important, especially with family members, we need to be sometimes more delicate.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but you still can set boundaries with people. If it's, well, now we're not seeing people in person, but if you are going to be seeing people in person, maybe just don't see them in person as often. And I think it's up to you, depending on the situation, to decide whether or not you tell the person that you're setting the boundary or whether you just like casually set up the boundary and like make it sort of a new thing. And I think sometimes you just have to realize that the way we interact with people is essentially we're training them that that is how we respond. So
Right.
if, for example, if someone texts you and you text them back right away, you are training them that you text them back right away.
Yeah.
So
Now they expect it every time.
on training, you might have to do it a little more slowly or gently instead of like an abrupt thing, or else they might notice. And if you want them to notice, that's fine too. It's always fair enough to say like, I need to be putting my phone away because I have work to do, and so I'm only looking at my phone at 3, 5, and 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I think it's just really important for people with boundaries, and especially with the news. What I've been telling people is that if you don't follow the news, you're okay. You're not. There's nothing too much new happening, really.
Yeah.
And so if there's something very new that you need to know about, chances are you're going to find out about it probably on social media because your friends will mention it, right? And so it's really okay to not follow the news at all or only check it, once a day or once every other day. There's nothing really that new happening.
Well, yeah, because I mean, let's be honest. We all live in our own little circle, right? We have a circle of friends and family that we connect with that are part of our tribe, let's say. And
Yeah.
that I think you have to consider more often than most people do is that that's what's important. And you know what, I'm a news junkie. I like to know what's going on. But even somebody that's a news junkie, I recognize that I can't be immersed in it at all times, and I can step away. So if I'm a news junkie and I can step away, I'm just saying to viewers, like, you can do the same thing. Don't feel guilty that you don't know what's happening at every moment, right? Especially during during a time like this where I understand there's a lot of anxiety, and we want to understand what's happening. We want to know what's opening and what's staying closed and so forth. That's fine, but don't immerse yourself in it every day, all day. It's not healthy. Lydia, I just wanted to say, this has been such a great conversation. I cannot thank you enough. Honestly, the strategies that you've shared, I'm going to take some of those strategies and put it into practice myself, because I think I've sort of fallen off the wagon a little bit when it comes to exercise in particular, and even, as you said, movement. So thank you for your advice, and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, by the way, if they want to use your services.
Of course, yeah. So I'm on Facebook and social media, Fit Healthy 365, and then also my website, www.fithealthy365.com. And so I work with people doing virtual personal training right now, which is great because then I can work with anybody anywhere, which is so awesome. Sure. And I also am doing stress-reduced fat loss coaching. So for people who are finding that they're getting stuck with fat loss, or they're very stressed, particularly women who are in a sort of 40s, 50s age range, who are finding their, in maybe premenopause, or finding their bellies are expanding a little bit more than what they were before. There's definitely some specific things that I can help them with. So yeah, that's what I'm up
Excellent.
to, and I'm always happy to chat with people and help them out with health and wellness type of questions. So they can just reach out.
Terrific. Lydia, thank you so much. Oh, and I want to encourage people, if you have advice and strategies when it comes to exercise, your own health and wellness, whether it be your mental or physical health, let us know in the comments below on my YouTube channel here. And that way we can share with each other, because you may have a strategy that, we haven't shared today, and you think it's been working for you, and maybe it can work for others. So again, thanks for spending time with me today.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure, Derick.
All right. Take care, Lydia.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.